question I end up often getting from customers when they're trying to deploy a new screening solution or trying to enhance the one that they already have is, what exactly am I supposed to screen against? Is it just sanctions or PEPs? And if it's PEPs, then what level of PEPs? And that's an absolutely valid question, to be honest. There is ambiguity in most parts of the world around specific regulatory expectations, especially when you bring into the mix things like sector and type of customers and size of banks, or size of a regulated entity or a financial institution and others. So a good guideline is to really look at 4 segments that one needs to assess before or during a review of a screening system. The first one is sanctions. The most basic one. People will go for, and definitely in many cases include US sanctions, EU sanctions, UK sanctions, and the UN sanctions. And then you've also got a version of the sanctions as required by a local regulator. The second set of things that you need to go after is really look at PEPs, politically exposed persons. And there are different levels of PEPs and types of PEPs, but depending on the regulation that your regulator wants you to follow, or your bank wants you to follow, you may decide to either include or exclude certain types and categories of PEPs. Most folks really are going the conservative way and trying to include all, though that has an impact on false positives. The third set of things that you need to screen against is really adverse media, and this one's a little tricky because adverse media or negative media isn't something that many regulators require you to do, but is increasingly becoming globally required and acceptable, and therefore it's something that you should really consider when you're trying to set up your system, especially when you're thinking about screening again for vendors and suppliers and distributors and merchants and a whole bunch of other folks. And the final set of lists that you're supposed to look at are local or country watch lists. These are or may be required from an AML point of view, but increasingly they are, they're beyond that scope. They can be financial crimes compliance oriented, or they can be general regulation oriented, there could be taxation oriented, there could be exclusion lists, country specific exclusion lists and terrorism lists and others. And so this requires a deeper understanding of the country and the regulator that is applicable to you. And so with these 4, you should run a review. You should get an opinion. Players like us, like ZIGRAM, have about 2,750 global watch lists, which includes all 4 of these segments. Others may have more, some may have less, but in general, your provider needs to give you satisfactory and comprehensive coverage for your country, for your jurisdiction, and especially if you're trying to get into new sectors and new countries. And that should be a good starting point for your screening system. Take care.